Hi guys, welcome to this new video in Angular 16, and in this video I'm going to be talking about very important topic called NgRx. It is, I think, one of the most difficult topic to understand and write the code using it, and this concept is used in other frameworks as well, like React, Vue, JavaScript, Angular old versions. And in Angular it gives us a flexibility to manage states and communication between different components if we are building a large application having a lot of components inside it. Okay, so I'll explain you more what it contains. Let me go to VS Code and I'm gonna create a new Angular 16 project with the latest version of Node and with the latest version of Angular CLI. So I'll be writing ng new, and I'll write NgRx Angular 16. Okay, I'll hit enter and I will go with the routing. Let's choose any of the styles over here, and it is taking some time to create a new project. Meanwhile, let's go to its documentation and understand what NgRx is and why we need to use it. So if you're already working in Angular, you might be familiar with the communication with the components, like the input decorators. You pass the data using the input decorator to a child component, and child component use the output decorator to emit the data outside it. Okay, so in the next video I will also talk about how we can use this multiple state management system like the subject and behavior subject from the RxJs in order to communicate multiple components with each other and share data among multiple components. So NgRx is used when you have to build a large application, in which I think when you have around 50 components or more, like e-commerce websites or SaaS products or the different platforms, then you are supposed to use NgRx for sharing the data with between components. So it contains four major things. One is the store. Store actually store the data in the database, in local storage actually, and then store is actually called by the reducer. So reducer have to have payload for the data, and then the action type, that what it needs to be done, and action is triggered by the component, and components have selectors. So let's say that we have a button or a form that exists in a component, and when we fill out the form we click the submit button, and the submit button decide that which part of model it is. It is a note taking app, it is a sign up user, it is a list of students. Then it will trigger an action. Action contains the type, that this is the type, like add new student, add new note. This is a type of action. A payload is that what the node contains, like the ID, title, description, image of the node. And then the action and the payload is passed to the reducer, and then that reducer is going to add the new node in the local storage, which is the store. And then the store will update the selector that this is how I am updated, and it will be dispatched. Then the selectors and the UI will be updated. And another things is the effects, which is added in NgRx. Effects are used to connect with APIs, any database we have. Okay, so I'll talk about effects as well, but other features like the component, which is selector, action, reducer, and store, these four are very important thing. You will get better understanding about it once I'll move forward with the easy example. So I'm talking about to do app. It looks smaller, but this is a best example to understand NgRx in Angular. So currently you can see that we can add a new node, we can remove a node, we can set it completed or incomplete by this checkbox, and everything is being stored in the NgRx store. So let's go ahead, and this project is created now. Let's go inside. So I'm going to be writing NgRx, and let's try to run the project first to see how it's look like. Okay, it's actually generating the new project, and it will be running in localhost 4200. If I refresh, you will see that this is the default UI provided by Angular whenever we create a new Angular 16 project. Okay, so I don't need any of this, so I'll go to the source app and then the app component HTML, and I will be removing everything inside it. Okay, so first of all, what we need to do here in the terminal, we need to install few stuff. So I will be pasting this line in the description of this video as well. So you need to install ngrx/store, ngrx/effects, ngrx/entity, ngrx/store dev tools, and then the save dependency. Okay, so it will download these packages and install from the internet, and it will create its references in the package.json file. Okay, so meanwhile it is actually installing these packages. So first of all, I'm gonna create few folders inside it. So first of all, in the app directory, I'm gonna be creating a new folder. I'm going to name it store. And these are some kind of best practices that we follow when we create a store or integrate NgRx in our project. So then I'm going to be creating actions inside the store, and along with the action I'll be creating a new folder, and I will name it reducers. Okay, so first of all, let's create few actions, and inside the action I will be creating one action, and I will name it todo.actions.ts. okay, let's go ahead and create another folder in the app, and I'm going to name it model. And inside the models, I'm going to create a new model for the to do. I'm going to create a new type for a to do. So I need to give it few properties. So I'm going to add an interface and then to do. And inside it, I will be passing a string. And then I will be giving it title. Then I will be giving it completed Boolean, and then the user ID, which is a number. Okay, so this is the type of to do that I will be using in almost every component wherever I need to fetch this data, save this data in it's just the TypeScript thing. Okay, so now we need to go to the to do action, and in to do action we need to create different actions. So in the old version of NgRx, I already created a video on my other channel few years back. These kinds of stuff were not existing in the old version of NgRx, but currently it provides some built-in functions that we can utilize to perform same stuff. So first of all, I need to create and import few functions. So I'm going to write create action from NgRx store, and then I will be getting the props. Okay, so action can receive the props from the components which want to dispatch the action for the reducers. Okay, so I'm going to be writing import to do, and I will be importing the to do from the model which I've just created. So I will move outside, and I will move outside again, and it contains the model, and it contains the to do model. Okay, then I will be exporting const add to do, which is one action that I'm going to be creating, create action, and inside it I need to name that action. So I'm going to write to do to do's, and then add to do. Okay, and I can pass the second parameter to it as well if some data needs to have need to receive some kind of data from the components, the selectors. So obviously when we need to add a to do, we need to receive some kind of data to add the to do. So inside it, I will be using the props to do. It will receive an object of to do. Okay, and this second to do is the same type which I have imported above. All right, so now I will end it with this, and I will add this function. So this is actually a function which I need to add. Okay, so let's save it. Now I'll be copying this 2 more times for removing the to do and for toggling the to do, because I just showed you the checkbox that we added in our UI. So here I will be writing the toggle to do, and I will change the name toggle to do. Okay, and then I need to change for toggling. I'll be passing an ID, and it will be of type string. Okay, and then I will be remove to do, and I will be adding the remove over here, and this will also receive the ID, and this will be of type string. Okay, so I think we are done with this file. Let's go to our reducers, and these actions actually identifies, and if we have multiple models in our project, let's say to do, we can have settings, we can have theming, we can have list of articles, we can have list of analytics, some kind of comments, reviews, blog posts, and all of these require some CRUD operations or different operations it needs. Then we will be creating a separate file of actions in the actions folder, and we will be having these create actions functions for every operation that needs to be performed. Okay, so now we have created this action. Now we need to go ahead in the reducers folder, and I'll be creating a new file inside it, and I will name it todo.reducers.ts. okay, and inside it I will be importing few stuff which I am importing in the action. So I'll be writing the create action from the NgRx store, and I will be writing on. On is used to detect that which action type needs to be triggered and dispatched from a component. And then I will be fetching and importing all the actions which I have created in my action. So add to do from the action, and then the toggle to do from the action, and then the remove to do from the actions. Okay, and lastly I'll be importing that model that I've just created from the models. Okay, and then let's try to export interface to do's state. I need to provide an initial state that what data needs to be stored in the initial state. So first of all, I'm creating a new interface, and this will be of type to do and array. Okay, so then let's create initial state, which is this, and I'll be passing one object by default. Usually we don't do it because usually we get the data from APIs and store it in the store. Okay, so I'll just be saving it, and this is the initial data that we can remove or add new to it. All right, so now we need to go ahead, and I'll be exporting a new function, and I will be writing to do's reducer. Okay, and I will be using the create. Actually I have imported create action. It has to be create reducer. So create reducer, and here I'll be creating a new reducer, and this is a kind of function, and the first parameter we need to pass, as it is showing over here, we need to pass initial state, and then we need to use on function to detect that which action was dispatched from the component. Okay, so now we are using on, and then add to do is added, and then we can add some kind of logic inside it. Okay, so let's add parentheses, and then this curly braces. Okay, so hit enter. It is actually, let's remove one of that. So inside it we need to add to do in that array. So I'll be using some JavaScript inside it. So let's fetch the initial state. Okay, and then I will be storing the data to do's using the spread operator state dot to do's, and then a new to do. All right, so this will actually store a new object which is being passed for to do, and store that in the state of this to do's array. Okay, so then let's go ahead and it has to be two parentheses, and I'll be writing comma, and I will be writing on, and I will be using that remove to do action over here. So this is the logic that my extension have suggested. This is the tab 9 AI assistant. So I can actually go ahead and select what it's suggesting. So let's see if it has written something cool over here. So it is taking up the state and receiving the ID, and this is the remove to do, and then it is storing state to do's filter to do dot ID is not equals to the ID. So it seems right. This extension is quite awesome, and then it has already suggested me about the toggling. So let's see that if it has suggested something cool over here. So I'm going to understand the logic it has written. So it is receiving the state and the ID. And yes, we need the ID if we go to the action, and you can see that we are passing the IDs over here of type string. Okay, and then we are actually passing the state with the spread operator, to do's state.todos.map, and we are receiving the to do, and then we need to match it with the to-do.id equals to ID, and then completed not equals to completed, and then to do. All right, so it seems pretty fine, and this is pretty much it we need to do in the reducers. So this reducers will be used by the components, and the components will be dispatching action type and action payload. Action type is this: if it is add to do, remove to do, toggle to do, and this is the data that it might be passing. So yeah, let's go ahead. First open up the app module, and inside the app module we need to initialize few stuff to make the NgRx work in our Angular 16 project. Okay, so first of all I'll be importing few stuff at the top, so let's go ahead. So first of all I'll be importing forms module because I need to create an input tag for adding a new node. So let's add a form module, okay, from Angular forms, and then I need to import the store module from the ng store. Then I'll be importing the store dev tools from NgRx store dev tools, and now I'll be importing the reducer file which I have just created. So let's create that to do reducer. Okay, and it is from this path. Okay, so for now that's pretty much it. Now we need to add these in our imports array, and first of all let's add this form module we have added, and then we need to store that store module and the store dev tool. So store module is something that gives us a for root function, and inside it we need to give it a name. It can be any name, and this name we will be used in any component wherever we want to fetch the data of to-dos. So make sure you give it a reasonable name, meaningful, and after that I'll be giving the name of to-dos reducer which I've added over here. So let's go to our to-dos reducer, and I'm gonna change its name. It has to be capital to-dos. I just want it like this because everything is capital, so I'll be pasting over here. Okay, so if we have multiple reducers, then we can add multiple objects of it with different names, like the analytics name and then the analytics reducer. If it is a settings name, settings colon, and then the settings reducer that we will be creating, and each reducer will have a separate action. Okay, it's just like the combined reducer in React if you have been using Redux in React. Okay, after this I will be using that store dev tool which I have just imported above, and dev tools modules actually. All right, so this actually provide the instrument function, and it takes an object, and we need to give it a maximum age 25. Okay, this is used to debug our states of the store in the browser. So it will add a new tab. If we go to the inspect, it will add a new tab, and in the tab we will have a Angular title, and inside it, as long as we are keep updating our state or the store, then we will be seeing that what's the data is being stored in the state depending upon the actions and the reducer. Okay, and that this is what I'll just be showing you. And other thing I need to add here is the app routing module, browser module. So for now I think it is fine. I don't need to add this. Okay, So let's go ahead and create few components inside it. So I will be creating a component called to-do list. So I will be writing ngGC in the terminal, and I'll be creating a new folder, components, and I will write to-do list. Okay, so this has created a component, and it has created this to-do list component. And in this to-do list component, we will be creating few stuff. So in the component, we need to fetch the data from the reducers, from the store that we have just created. So first of all, let's go to our HTML, and I'll be writing few HTML over here quickly. And I hope that you will be understand what I'm writing. So class equals to do equals to container, and then I'll be writing the h2. Let's add the to-do list, and it has been added. Let's try to create a form now. Okay, you know that I have created the form module in the app module file. So first of all, I'll be giving it a class name, and I will name it to do form. Okay, and after that I will be giving it a submit button. And in the submit button, I'll be creating a function in my component file, and I will name it add to do. All right, so I think this is pretty much it we need to do in this form. And then I'll be creating an input tag. Okay, let's try to save it to make it a bit look nicer. I'm using prettier, and when I save the file, it automatically fixes the indentation. And if you want to learn about that, check out my video on awesome VS Code extensions. So first of all, it is given the class, and then it is giving the type text, and then the placeholder add a to do, then ng model, and I'm going to change its name new to do title. Okay, and we need to give it a name. So I'm going to give it a name of new to do title. Okay, and I've already given this. For this input, I don't need this class actually, so I'll just be removing it. So outside this input, I'll be writing the button, type submit, and add. Okay, so ending the form over here, let's try to add a UL, and its name is added over here. Let's save it, and inside it I'll be creating an li tag, and it's going to take this, and I'll be adding a $sign at the end. I like to do it this way, and this is the li tag. And in the li tag I will be creating another input. So let's try to add the type equals to checkbox, which is for selecting completed or incomplete to do. So after that, I need to add the checked equals to do dot completed. Okay, and then let's try to end it with this. And then I will be writing change equals to toggle to do, and I'll be passing to do dot id. Okay, so I'll be ending it like this. And after this, we need to add couple of stuff. One is the span, and this span is ng class. Okay, and here I will be writing if completed, then I will be giving it the to do dot completed. Okay, so let's try to end it, and inside it I will be adding to do dot title. Okay, so now I'll be adding the button. Let's add the click equals to, and I will be giving it remove to do, and I'll be passing to do dot id, and inside it the content would be the remove, but this one I'll be giving a class, and I will be giving it remove button. Okay, so I think we are done with this, and I'm just going to copy paste few of the CSS I assume that you already know about CSS. I don't want to spend time on writing CSS, so I'll just be copy pasting this CSS over here. Okay, so let's save it. And first of all, let's try to run our project. But first, let's go into our app component. Inside it, we need to add that component which I've just added. Let me first verify it was added over here. Yes, its reference is added. And now inside this app component, I will be adding that reference and the to-do list component. So first of all, I'll be writing div. Let's add the style, and I will be aligning everything to center. Okay, and then I will create a tag welcome to-do list app. Okay, and then I will be just loading that app to-do list, and that's it. I hope it won't throw any error. So I'll just be running my project. It's generating the bundle file. So there is an error. So where is the error? To-do list component, and we are actually writing this. So we need to go to our HTML. Actually, it's throwing an error because we have not written anything inside it. So let's go ahead and try to add those functions so it does not throw those errors. So inside it, let's first fetch the store. But before that, just to avoid these errors, I'm going to create a constructor. Okay, so this constructor and then these curly braces, and after that, let's try to add to-do function. So this has been added. Let's try to add a couple of more functions that I have added the reference for. So I'll be writing the toggle to do, and it will receive ID of type string, and return type would be the void. Let's add the last function remove to do, and it will receive the ID as well. Okay, so let's save it and see if it throws any error. So it is throwing this error, to do's, the variable is not found. So let's create that variable just now. So I'm going to add that variable over here. So to do's dollar exclamation mark to make it optional, and then to do, which I'll be importing above. This is of type this, and this is of type array. Okay, and let's create a new variable, new to do title equals to empty string. Let's save it, and now it is resolved. And let's go, let's refresh, and this is looking awesome. And we have added this form, and it is showing this thing. It is not currently showing anything below because we are not iterative. This array is empty, the to-do list. Now we need to fetch the data from the store which we have created, and in this file we need to write some logic. So first of all, at the top, let's import that store, and it is from the NgRx. So at NgRx/store. Okay, and then we need to import all three actions that we have created. So this is where we will be dispatching our action to the reducer, and the reducer will be responsible to update the data, and it will be automatically reflected in our HTML. So now I'm going to import that add to do, toggle to do, and then the remove to do. Okay, so for now, that's pretty much it for importing. Let's go down, and inside the constructor, let's create a reference for the store, and it is of type store, which we have imported over here. And the store, we need to give it the type, what kind of data it is expected to take in this particular component. Okay, so this to do is actually referring to the same name that we added in this file here. So whatever you write over here, you need to use this name to fetch that data. So it is of type this. So I'll just be showing you that where we need to add that name over here. Okay, so this is for reference. I'm going to add to do's and then the to do of type this, and this is an array. Okay, and after couple of stuff we'll be adding like this, and inside this constructor I'll be fetching the data from store. So I can write this line, but it will require an observable. I don't want to go into that depth, so I'll just be writing the subscribe function to fetch the data. So I'll be writing store select, and then inside it I need to give the name of that reducer which I've added in the app module. So I give the name to do's. Okay, and then I'll be writing subscribe, and I can give it any name after that. So to do state, and then the curly braces, so to do's, and then the to do. Okay, and to do of type array. So after this parentheses I can actually add an arrow function and then this curly braces. Okay, and inside it I can use to do's equals to do state dot to do's. All right, so this is the syntax you need to remember. Let's try to log this out and try to see if our data were printed in the console window or not. And it is automatically printing over here, and you remember that in the reducer function we added this default data. Okay, so whatever is added over here, it will be showing over here, and in the to-do list you can see the reason it is showing over here. I'm using the console ninja extension of VS Code, and what it does is it on runtime shows execute the component if it is JavaScript, React, or any front-end framework, JavaScript framework, it will show the output over here. But here if we go to the console, we can see the output over here. So it means that we are successfully fetching the data from the store, and it is showing over here as well. So our HTML is working fine as well, right? Let's try to remove it. It's not actually removing because we have not written anything in this remove function right now. So our data is being fetched successfully. Let's go ahead and dispatch our actions to make changes. Okay, so whatever I've written over here, any other component who need this data of to do from the reducer, they'll just need to write this line of code and they will be able to fetch the data. No matter which component have make changes to this state, any component can use this code to actually fetch the data from the store. This is how the communication between components works in Angular 16 using NgRx. Okay, so let's try to add stuff inside it. So first of all, for the title, I'll first try some kind of validation. So let's say this dot new to do title dot trim equals to empty, and then I'll be writing return, and I don't want it to be empty. It should not be trim, and it should only be trim here. And then I'll be writing const to do, and I'll be creating a new object which is of type to do, and here I will be using some kind of data. So let's try to add, I won't be using UUID. Let's try to do the date.now to dynamically and randomize the integers from it. So I'll be writing toString because ID is top of type string. And this is the new title which will be added in our input tag. If we go over here, let's quickly show you in the to do HTML file. You can see that we have binded this ng model over here, new to do title. So it means that it will be two-way binding. If we write anything inside this input element, it will be updated in this variable automatically, in this component actually, this variable. So it will be updated over here. We can directly store it in the title. Now, how do we add this particular data in our store? As I mentioned at the start, we need to dispatch the action type to it. Okay, so now let's try to add this dot store dot dispatch, and then I need to pass the action type. I've already imported the action type, so the action type I will be using is the add to do. And as you remember, in the action I added the second param, which is the props, so I need to pass an object of type to do, and it has to be an object over here. So let's go to over here, and I've already created this to do of type to do, and this is the same type I created in my action file. So after this, it is a function actually, add to do, and after this I can give it this to do function. Okay, and after this, once this is added, I'll make that new to do title empty on the UI. So let's try to add this and see if it works, and it is by default loading. Let's try to add a new title over here. Let's try to add it. Awesome. So it has been added over here, and it is showing over here as well. So you can see that this store is already subscribed to that store. So this has been printed over here. So why it has been printed over here? Because whenever the store is getting updated, it will broadcast the message to all the subscribers. Currently we only have one subscriber, which is this component. Okay, and this is the subscriber. So this subscriber is get the notification that the store is updated. You need to execute again, and whatever needs to be performed, you need to execute. So we are only fetching the data in the to-dos, and that's why this UI is updated, because it was a subscriber. And this is printed as well, because this is written inside the subscriber. Okay, so our add dispatch function is working fine, and our logic of adding this new to do is written in this reducer. So whenever that dispatch function was triggered, it actually ran this function on. It detected that what was the type of action, what is the data, and we need to add that data in the previous state to do's array. And this is the spread operator of JavaScript. If you don't understand how the spread operator work, check out my video on JavaScript spread operator, which is in my channel in the JavaScript playlist. You can learn everything about the spread operator from beginning to advanced level. Okay, so now let's go to our to-do list component. Now we need to fill up these two functions. One is the toggle to do, and it will not be a big function, so it is already suggesting me this tab 9 AI assistant. So store, dispatch, toggle to do, and ID, and I think it is suggesting me some right stuff here. And also for to do, I'll be hitting tab to select this, selecting the action, passing it an ID, and this is what we are expecting over here. Passing the properties and receiving the ID. Okay, so let's go ahead, let's refresh, and let's try to add multiple to-dos, and let's try to remove one of this, remove, and it's successfully removed, and that subscriber is automatically running, and it is printing the updated data. Let's try to click on this, and it is updating. Let's try to see if it is updated in the store as well. So I have changed that completed to true over here, and rest of the completed are false. As you see, let me zoom in. So you can see the first one is false, third one is false, this one is false. Okay, let's try to remove the second one now. You can see the store is updated automatically, and in any component, whoever is subscribing to this particular store using this line of code will get update whenever this store get updated. So how this configuration and this folder structure looks pretty large, and for it is large for this kind of small application, but it is quite worth it when you have a large big application, enterprise level application like a platform, learning platform, e-commerce application, or the video streaming websites. You have hundreds of components inside it, then this structure is pretty worth it, because you don't need to pass the params from one component to the child component using the different properties and attributes like the input decorator, output decorator. So it is pretty cool stuff over here. So I hope that you have understand the basics of NgRx state management in Angular 16 or even the later versions. So there is another concept inside it. Usually what happens is in real application, we need to call APIs and update the store initially. So for that, I don't want you guys to get confused and you guys to forget stuff what we have learned over here. So for using APIs in NgRx, I have chosen to create another video for that, and the reason I'm not creating using that in this video because I don't want you guys to get confused. Just learn from it with the static constant data in your project, and we'll be talking about API calls. But quickly, that API call is done through effects. So effects are actually used. We need to create a folder in the store, and let me quickly go through the app module. And in the app module, how the effects work is we can actually import the effects over here. So effects module, and you can see that it has been fetched from NgRx effects. So this module needs to be added over here. So effects module, and it provides us a stuff over here like the for root, and inside it we need to provide different effects that we might want to create. So currently we don't have any effect inside it. So quickly, if we need to call an API, we first need to create a service as we do in all Angular application, and the service will be responsible to call the APIs, and that effect file will be responsible to call that service functions to get the data from. Okay, so let's try to learn that effects part in the next video of Angular that I'll be creating in upcoming days. For now, just practice this NgRx and learn from it. If you have any question, you can comment below this video and I'll try to answer that about Angular, React, NgRx, Redux, state management. So I'm putting a lot of effort creating these videos for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe my channel to get updates for upcoming videos, and also do hit the bell icon for getting notification and like this video as well. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next videos.